If you're between 65 and 80, you've probably heard countless warnings about aging, what you'll lose, what you can't do anymore, and what your body won't allow. But here's the surprising truth. Many people your age are carrying abilities they don't even realize are exceptional. Abilities that quietly reveal something powerful about your longevity, your vitality, and the strength you've built through a lifetime of experience. And if you still possess even a few of these abilities, you are far more resilient and far more likely to live a long, steady, remarkable life than you might think. We often imagine longevity as something tied only to genetics or strict health routines. But in reality, the small things you can still do every day, the movements you make without thinking, the clarity you maintain, the balance you hold, the strength you still feel, are the hidden signs that your body and mind are aging far more gracefully than you've been told. Think about the last time you got out of a chair without pushing your hands against the armrests, or the time you walked across the room without wavering, or when you remembered something important without writing it down. These moments may seem ordinary, but they're actually quiet indicators of exceptional aging. Indicators that many people your age no longer have. In this video, we'll explore several rare abilities that only a small percentage of older adults still retain. Abilities that signal your body's durability, your brain's sharpness, and your continued potential to live well into your 90s and beyond. If even one of these signs sounds like you, consider it a gift. Consider it proof that you're aging with strength, not decline. One of the strongest indicators of longevity is something so simple that most people overlook it entirely: your ability to stand up from a chair without pushing off with your hands. It seems like a small movement, but it's actually a powerful reflection of leg strength, balance, coordination, and the health of your nervous system. And if you can still do it between the ages of 65 and 80, you are part of a surprisingly rare group. Think of Mr. Lawson, a 74-year-old who never thought much about his mobility. One afternoon, during a routine checkup, the nurse asked him to rise from his chair without using his hands. He stood up easily, almost casually. The nurse smiled and said, "You'd be surprised how many people your age can't do that anymore." For the first time, he realized that an ordinary daily movement was actually a quiet triumph, an ability that spoke louder than any medical chart. Why does this matter so much? Because standing without support requires more than strength. It shows that your muscles, joints, and balance systems are still communicating smoothly. It suggests that your reflexes are intact, that your core is engaged, and that your lower body hasn't lost the resilience needed to protect you from falls. One of the greatest risks as we age. If you can still rise smoothly, without rocking, pushing, or struggling, it means your body is holding on to a level of vitality that predicts not only longer life, but a better quality of life. It shows independence, stability, control. So take a moment to recognize it. This simple movement is not simple at all. It's one of the clearest signs that your body is aging with strength and balance on its side. As we enter our 70s, something magical happens. A kind of inner peace begins to settle in, the kind of peace that most people spend their whole lives chasing. And here's the truth. You don't need a big circle of friends to feel calm, fulfilled, and whole. In fact, sometimes the fewer people you have around you, the more peaceful you become. Why? Because for the first time in decades, you're finally free from the noise of life. No more comparing yourself to others. No more worrying about who likes you or who doesn't. No more forcing conversations just to maintain friendships that stopped serving you years ago. At 70 plus, you begin choosing peace over people, and that's not loneliness, that's wisdom. You start to enjoy your quiet mornings, your routines, your hobbies, your thoughts, your space. And most importantly, you enjoy your own company. You finally realize that being alone isn't empty. It's full of clarity, freedom, and self-respect. Some friendships drain your energy, but your own company, that's the one place where you can breathe, reflect, and simply exist without pressure. This is the stage of life where you stop chasing connections, and instead you attract peace. And the beautiful part? Once you stop relying on friendships to feel complete, you become stronger, calmer, and more emotionally independent than ever before. This is not losing friends. This is gaining yourself. Let's be honest. Friendships, no matter how good, can sometimes come with drama, expectations, or emotional weight you didn't ask for. And after 70, you finally reach a point in life where you say, I don't have the energy for this anymore. And that's perfectly okay. Because the truth is, the older we get, the more we value our freedom. Freedom from obligations, from gossip, from unnecessary arguments, and from people who always want something from us. You've spent a lifetime taking care of others, your kids, your spouse, your family, your job, your home. You've been the helper, the listener, the supporter, the one everyone depended on. But now, this stage of life belongs to you. When you choose to keep your circle small, you're not pushing people away. You're protecting your peace. You realize you don't need large friend groups or constant social plans. You don't need to say yes to everything. You don't need to entertain people who tire you emotionally. You've earned the right to cancel plans without guilt. Say no without explaining. Walk away from negativity. Choose silence over stress. And the best part? You finally understand that freedom is worth more than friendship, especially the kind that drains you. Life after 70 becomes lighter, not because you have fewer people, but because you have fewer problems. This is the age of peace, personal space, and emotional freedom. And choosing that is not selfish. It's smart, it's healthy, and it's exactly what your heart has needed all along. Something powerful happens after 70. You stop searching for people to complete you, and you finally start enjoying your own company. For the first time in decades, you're not living for others. You're not rushing, not proving anything, not trying to fit in. You begin to rediscover you. And that's one of the greatest gifts of aging. You start realizing that your thoughts are interesting, your quiet moments are peaceful, your routines are comforting, your independence is fulfilling. You don't feel lonely, you feel steady, you feel centered, you feel whole. See, when we're young, we depend on friendships for identity, support, and validation. But as we grow older, we learn that the best support comes from within. You start enjoying simple joys, a slow morning with tea, a gentle walk with no rush, a quiet room that feels safe, a hobby that makes your heart soft again, a moment of reflection that brings clarity. You begin to trust your own wisdom, the wisdom life gave you through every mistake, every heartbreak, every victory. And that's when it hits you. You don't need constant company. You don't need crowds, noise, or attention. You don't need people to remind you of your worth, because you finally know it yourself. You become your own friend, your own comfort, your own strength. And that kind of peace, no friendship can replace it. This is the beauty of life after 70. Not loneliness, but self-connection. Not isolation, but inner harmony. And once you find that, you stop needing the world, because you finally have you. When you're younger, you want many friends. But after 70, you realize you only need a few or sometimes none at all to feel complete. Because this stage of life teaches you something powerful. One genuine connection is worth more than 100 casual friendships. You begin to see friendships differently. Not as numbers, not as social status, not as people to fill silence, but as energy, as peace, as trust. You no longer tolerate fake kindness, one-sided relationships, friends who disappear when you need them, people who gossip or drain your joy, connections that feel forced or complicated. You've lived long enough to know exactly who deserves a place in your life and who doesn't. And here's the truth many people discover late in life. Sometimes the happiest people in their 70s or 80s have a tiny circle, maybe one person, maybe a neighbor, maybe a sibling, and sometimes they simply have themselves. Because once you understand the value of peace, you stop chasing people who disturb it. You start choosing calm over company, peace over popularity, truth over friendliness, depth over crowd. And what remains? The few people who truly care, the ones who check in, the ones who bring ease, not pressure, are more precious than ever. Life after 70 isn't about collecting people. It's about protecting your space and keeping only the souls who make that space lighter, softer, and safer. Quality over quantity. That's the wisdom age finally reveals. And once you embrace it, You never look back.